Well, what's up, guys? You remember this one, the one I built on the bench with the helical M factory diff? Well, unfortunately, this car, the one I put that engine into in one day, got it running. When they were putting the axles in, they weren't paying attention, and they dropped the fucking spider gears down in here. So spider gears are gone, and I have to disassemble this transaxle just to put them fuckers back in. So this really sucks, considering we just got it done and running. But this time I'm going to put them together, and I'm going to put a stubby in there so they can't move, because I have an axle stub. But yep, going to be tearing this tranny down. First thing you do is you remove all of these bolts for this 5th reverse gear cluster cover, and then pull it off. So I will come back to you in a moment after I've done that. Alright, now that you have removed the 5th gear cluster cover, this is what you will see. You have a 37mm bolt and a 27mm bolt, if I remember right. I might be wrong on those. First thing you have to do is bend these tabs out, and then you have to impact these off. You will not get them off any other way without damaging something, unless you wedge something in the gears, which is what I had to do the first time, and I hate doing that. After you've taken these gears off, you punch this roll pin out of the 5th reverse shift fork, and then take these 2 bolts out of this shift rail retaining device and pull those out, pull these clusters off, and then you can separate the case half. So I'll come back to you once I've done that. So now that you've gotten these, come over here. Now that you've gotten these 2 bolts off, which are the 37 and 27mm, I punched the roll pin out of this 5th gear shift fork back here. There's a roll pin that you push out, which is now inside of here, which is that little roll pin right there. So I punched that out, and now I can remove the 5th and reverse cluster, which you want to keep them in the order that they're in. So you got to be careful, kind of wiggle them so that the shift fork can come up very slowly. And then it should just pop right off eventually, but of course they're still covered in oil, so it's a little difficult. Alright, so there we go with that. Damn, reverse is really on there. Alright, well, I'll have to get that one out in a second, but for now I can pull these off. Come on, baby. There we go. Okay, so got those. Just set those down there. And then this guy does not want to come off of here. Usually they're not that stiff. So I'm going to need to grab a little screwdriver. You don't want to pry hard. You just want to pry hard enough to break it loose. See that? Okay. Get a little bit over here. A little bit over here. And she should pop right off in just 1 second. Oh, yeah, she's on there for some reason. So, just a little even back and forth motion. And here she comes. Seemingly. Wow. I love those fresh rebuilds. They set the clearances tight inside of this thing, because this normally is not that hard to get on. There we go. So now that's off. You take that and put that back under this, so we keep track of where those go, just like that. And you don't have to worry about anything. And then now I take these 2 bolts out, take this plate out and the 2 pins that are underneath it, take out the detent balls and springs and all of the bell housing bolts here, and I can separate the case halves. Alright, so now we're impacting all the case half bolts off just to make things quicker. They're 14mm. If I remember right, there are 16 of them. Not sure though. Yes, this gun leaks really bad and is annoying as fuck, but you get used to it. Alright. So, now that those are out, I need to take out these detent balls and springs that are on the shift rails for tension, which is these 4 right here, these 3, and then this one. And there's a little spring and a ball in there. I gotta pull those out, and then the case half should be ready to separate. I'm probably gonna have to wedge a screwdriver in there and break the bond loose because it's sealed with sealant, so it'll be kind of a bitch, but we'll get her done. Alright, so after you've gotten all the bolts out, all the detent balls and springs, which are these guys, are out. Got the little ball that sits at the end of the spring. These go in the holes to put pressure on the shift rails. I also took this out, which goes right here and has these 2 pins in it, which his function is to put pressure sideways on the rails, and they go into the little recess that's right here in the bottom of each shift rail. So now that you've got all those out, you can wiggle this puppy loose. Provided all the bolts are no longer engaged. Oh, I had a couple that were still in there a little bit. Gotta make sure that they're all loose. And once they're all loose, you'll be able to separate the case halves. Which is not always the easiest thing to do. There we go. Now when you do the bearing races for the input and intermediate shaft, bearings will probably fall out. They are not really press fit after years and years of sitting. I do not know. Oh, never mind. I'm forgetting something. I forgot the reverse retainer bolt because I'm an idiot. So I have to take that guy out. I was wondering why it was being difficult. So I just got to pull this guy off, and this will come right apart. I totally forgot about that little guy. Got to come out with the detent balls and springs. Now this will come right off. Theoretically. And there it is. You now have a separated transaxle. That guy goes in here. That down, and then that one goes, and the bolt goes through into there to hold that in place. But what we have to do is I have to get this differential out over here, which means pulling these 2 gear sets out, and then I have to put the spider gears back in and put it back together. All of that just because the stubby didn't get left in here and it dropped the spider gears down in there. I can't see one right off the bat. You can hear them jiggling around in there because they've fallen out. So I got to take the shift gate off. I got to punch out a couple of roll pins, pull the gear clusters out, and put it back together. So that's what I will be doing next. Alright, so basically what happened here is these gears are free floating inside of the differential. They sit right here, and on the bottom side down here, well, if you're not paying attention, then when these are like so, lined up, you can knock them over, which allows them to fall out like that inside of the transaxle, which is what happened. So basically the whole entire point of taking this apart was to take these 2 gears, put them back in the right position, and rotate them in just like so. And now we can put it back together and it's a working tranny again. All that because of not being careful and dropping those gears out. However, as I'm putting this into the trans, I am going to have to be careful to keep those aligned so they don't fall out again, because you cannot fix it without pulling the differential out of the case. Alright, so the tranny is back together, spider gears are in, and I've got an axle stubby in this side so the spider gears can't fall out again. Got right stuff. Yes, I used a lot. No, I don't care. It's not going to hurt anything inside, and I'm just making sure it seals because I'm tired of resealing trannies. Got the 5th and reverse cluster nuts on and torqued and secured, and yes, they're old and reused, and no, I don't care. And then he's scraping some gasket material off of that. I'm going to put some right stuff down on top of there, reseal it, and this tranny's ready to go back into the car. And in 2 hours, it's a tranny ready to go back into the car with the spider gears in place. So that is good. She's done. She's ready. Just has the right stuff. We use right stuff, so it's instantly set. So we can put this in the car and fill it up with fluid right now, but we're going to do that another day. But future reference, anybody, when you look in there and you see the splines right inside of that hole, that's the inside of the spider gears. Then you look through the diff pin, and you can see the other side of the splines, and you can see that I have an axle stuffed in there. That's what the shininess is behind that pin. The reason is because these spider gears will shift and fall out, and that's exactly what happens. So always put an axle stub in one side to prevent them from moving, because as long as the one spider gear is held in place, it does not allow the little spider gears that are on the end of the shaft to rotate, so it won't allow the other side to fall out. So as long as there's something in there to prevent that from rotating all the way around, you don't have to worry about it. But she's ready to go. It's all done.